Hey kids, welcome to Lesson 9, Looping and Random Numbers, Part 5, Controlling Loops with Parameters. This time you'll modify one of the lower level functions, drawSeaGrass. Notice that the current version of drawSeaGrass actually uses a loop. We want to modify this function so that we control the number of times it loops with a parameter. Do this. Look at drawSeaGrass function to see how it currently works. We're going to add a parameter that will be used to indicate how many waves the seagrass makes. Have a little example here. Looks like it's drawing it out. We're going to put two parameters here. First one looks like it is already radius, and the second one will be number of waves. This right here has a different shade of green in it. We added this, I believe, before. We're going to modify the for loop so it uses a parameter as the number of times it wants to repeat. Looks like the number of waves here, the number of waves is going to be our parameter. That is pretty interesting. Finally, modify the drawAllSeaGrass to call this new two-parameter version of drawSeaGrass, supplying a reasonable random value for the second parameter as well. We have another example here. Function drawAllSeaGrass. We have a move2, looks at the bottom here. We have a turn, so it's drawing its little sneaky way up. And then we have a random number for the two parameters. First one being the radius between 5 and 20, and the number of waves between 2 and 10. So it looks like we're going to have different size seagrass along with different locations of it. Pretty neat. Up here we have our picture of what it looks like. Let's go ahead and take a look at our code here. Our seagrass one is right here, so it moves to a random spot on the bottom Y direction, turns 2, and then we have a random number 5 to 20. So this is a random number between 5 and 20 of the radius. So if we hit run, you can see right now that my seagrass is kind of different sizes on it. We have some instructions here to loop this around. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let's look through here and go all the way to the bottom. Right here, we have our drawSeaGrass and our radius. And we also want to do the number of waves with it. So I'm going to go over here, looking back here, I just want to make sure our numbers are, or our words are the same. They want it num waves. So I'm going to add num waves. Make sure the capitalizations are right. Now under here, we need to update that same thing. So we want to modify the loop to num waves. This means every time the parameter here, the second parameter is called num waves, it is going to point down to the loop. So whatever number we insert up there will end up being a random number that it will loop. That's pretty cool. Let's go back up here to our drawSeaGrass. We need to put this in a loop. Go to our control. Move these both in here. Remember, we need our turn to 90 first. We also need to add another parameter in here. And this parameter is going to be between, let's see what number they give us, between 2 and 10. So let's go to our math, random number, 2 and 10. So we should get somewhere between 2 and 10 kind of segments of this wavy little green line as it goes up in a random spot. This is going to loop. See if it says it over here, how many little pieces of seagrass we need. Doesn't look like it says how many times we should loop it. I think I would like to make it loop 10 times. That means it's going to run what's in here 10 times. So it's going to move randomly to a spot on the bottom here. And then somewhere on the X direction between 0 and 320, it'll pick a location. And it will go and give me 10 seagrasses that are now a random length. So let's hit reset and let's see what happens here. I definitely do. I have seagrasses all different sizes here between 2 and 10. And I have some different shades too from earlier. We can manipulate this number. Let's say if we want them taller, let's say if we want them, let's do 15 first here. This should take me up a little taller here. Oh, very much. So by adding this number, I can add different sizes of seagrass. Let's go back to 10 here. Looking back at my instructions, I added a loop here. This loop gave me random seagrass at the bottom, different locations. I added a second parameter here for the number of waves that I have. That number is between 2 and 10. And I added that down here to our seagrass under the function. And I also named that parameter and variable down here in my loop. So I think I've done everything. Let's see what code.org thinks. Hey! Good job, kids. I'll see you on the last puzzle.